Have you ever thought of making a love potion that makes anyone fall in love with you? Well, this woman accidentally do it and pour it on this poor dude, and now he is in love with her like crazy. Let's find out what happens in this story. The movie begins with the main character, Shay, walking up to a woman at a party and telling her the ingredients in her perfume by smell alone and pretending to know the host of the party. They get interrupted by Shay's friend Darian, who's working as a waiter. He tells the woman that Shay is trying to recreate the first recorded perfume ever made, and it's possibly a love potion. Then the woman reveals that she's the host of the party, and her name is George. While that happens, the person in charge of the waiters yells at Shay because she's supposed to be working as a waiter. Turns out Darian and Shay sneak into fancy parties as waiters to try and bag rich clients for Shay's perfume business and Darian's modeling career. After the party, Shay tells Darian to do more research on the parties and to stop saying she's working on a love potion. But Darian is all love positive. She returns some misplaced mail to her neighbors, who are an old married couple that fight all the time. They get into Shay's apartment. She tells Darian that she's waiting for the Archaeological Society to send her the details of the relic perfume. Darian tells her she's wasting her time, that she should always chase the bag, and that she's meeting a client named Karen the next day. Next, we see Austin, a photographer who walks for his aunt Amy Song, who is a total bitch, and the head of a major perfume company. She yells at one of her workers and explains to Austin why she needs a new line of perfume and why perfumes are so important. While she keeps getting interrupted by her worker, Austin suggests that they're trying to bottle the scent of love. And it's pointed out that people have been trying to bottle love for years, but they failed. And Ms. Song scolds Austin for making silly suggestions like bottling love. See, I told you she was a bitch. He attempts to leave and reminds her of her birthday party that night. Meanwhile, Shay is late for her appointment, so she rushes out and photobombs one of Austin's photos in the park. She goes to her storage space, where she owes the owner rent and is told to pay. After that, she meets the aforementioned Karen, who is positively scary. Shay opens her storage locker. Turns out that's her workplace then. She asks Karen a bunch of questions because she's trying to get a custom perfume made. After that, she gets a call from Darian, who tells her they have a new gig. And it's with Amy Song, the person who bought out Shay's store. After she went bankrupt, Darian tells her to help Amy make a new line of fragrances. Shay goes home and starts working, but falls asleep. And a flash of wind blows and a bunch of scents get mixed randomly, including the relic perfume. Darian wakes her up and Shay realizes what happened and decides to use the concoction. They get to the party, and the head waiter warns Shay and Darian not to do any funny business, or they'll get kicked out. After that, Darian tells Shay to go change out of her waiter clothes and get the perfume, so she gets ready. Then, Shay accidentally pours the perfume on Austin, and he seems to be in a daze like he's placed under a spell. Then he starts acting flustered around Shay, so she leaves awkwardly. Next, we see Darian sneaking into the room of Amy Song, and she's having a conversation with Austin, while Darian hides behind a mannequin. She smells the fragrance on Austin's body, and she seems to like it. Then Darian reveals himself and pitches Shay to make a new scent, as well as telling them he models, and Austin suggests that he needs better photos. Then they get interrupted by the head waiter, and Darian rushes to get back to work, rather awkwardly. Next, Shay returns more mail to her neighbors, who are about to celebrate their anniversary. Shay goes to her apartment, and she sees that her desk is all messed up. We cut to her handing off a vial to Karen. She inhales it, and she seems to be in a trance. Then she's suddenly happy, and thanks Shay. The owner of the storage locker is impressed, but tells Shay to pay her rent and come play D&D sometime. Darian meets up with them and takes her to Amy Song's store, which is Shay's former shop. And then he abandons her. What a jerk. She goes inside and sees Austin, who is still acting weird, and gets her water. While that happens, she sees a picture of her grandma, and she gets all emotional, so she decides to take the job. She's going to try to bottle love. After the meeting, Austin tells her that he's set to take a couple of photos of Darian, and they'll meet up soon. After that, Shay meets Darian in the garden, and she tells him that Austin is acting like he's under a spell, and that she might have used a love potion on him because the relic perfume got mixed into that concoction that spilled on him. Then she decides that she's going to break the spell. She goes online and finds out how to make an antidote. She calls Darian and tells him all about it. Then Darian says that he's having a puffy face crisis, and that he is going to be late for the photo shoot and asks Shay to stall. Shay meets Austin and they start vibrating, while they're joined by Amy Song, who asks about the perfume. And Shay says she's going to try to do her best, even though everyone before him has failed. She and Austin go out for a walk and they get put in a lot of romantic situations. There's flowers, a carriage ride, and even a big heart in the sky. Looks like the universe wants them to bang. Austin tells Shay how he became a photographer due to pressure from his family. At a park bench, he tells Shay that he's trying to take a picture for every minute of every day. After their talk, Shay tells Darian that she's head over heels, but she feels like what she's feeling isn't real and Austin is under a spell. So she says she's going to sabotage his feelings for her. The next day, she meets up with Austin dressed horribly and takes her to places she feels horrible, including the D&D game. But Austin ends up having a good time. After the date, she tells Darian that she's really falling for Austin, but she still thinks it's not real. He tells her to lean into it and fall in love, and to stop comparing Austin to her ex Brad, who left her at her lowest point. So she goes to meet Austin to end things. Instead, they take a picture and she's smitten by his swag, so she doesn't tell him. He takes her to his photo room and shows him his work, and they start bonding and even lean in for a kiss. Then Shay remembers she needs to meet up with Karen. They rush to the storage lockers, where they meet Karen and her grumpy husband. Shay gets some information out of him, and then she makes him a custom perfume, and immediately he smells it. His countenance changes, and he becomes happier. Austin is impressed and goes to take a call. Shay is joined by the owner of the storage lockers, and he tells her that Austin seems like he's under a spell. Shay asks how she can break it, and he says she can counter it the opposite of the smell that put him under the spell. They head over to Shay's apartment, and Shay shows Austin around. Then she blindfolds him and starts having him try a bunch of scents. He loves all of them except the jasmine fragrance, which he says reminds him of his ex. Then Shay shows him the vanilla fragrance, and they get close up and they're about to kiss. And then Austin says that since he met Shay, he feels like he's been under a spell, but in a good way. So Shay pulls away. Wow, these guys must not like kissing. She goes into a bathroom and mixes a bunch of terrible scents. I'm talking fabric softener, toilet soap, and even a dirty sock. She goes out and Austin is unfazed by it and asks that they go out to eat. During their walk, Shay tells her about her business going under and how his auntie bought her off, and they bond even more. Next, we find Shay telling Darain that she's going to give in to love and that she's going to stop working on the relic perfume. She hangs up and throws the perfume away. And almost immediately, she gets an email from the Archaeological Society. So we see Shay looking at the email, and it's the exact recipe to make the relic perfume. And she starts feeling bad. Darian tells her to delete the email, but says she's obligated to see it through. And then she starts complaining about how unfair it all is and whining like a little bitch. It was hard to watch. Then Darian gives her the hard truth. He tells her she's scared to fall in love, and he tells her to be cool. But Shay says she has to be sure, so she decides to make and give the love potion to her neighbors who are always fighting. And when she checks up on them later, they seem to have a date with zero fighting. It is confirmed that she does have a love potion. And at the garden, she tells Darian that she has to break the spell on Austin. So she makes a more potent version of the relic perfume and spills it on Austin. Then she says she loves him and walks off sobbing. Next, she meets up with Amy Song with a new fragrance. Amy is impressed and tells her not to feel bad about not being able to bottle love. Then Amy tells her that Austin has left the city. She tells Shay about her love life when she was young. Then Shay rises to leave and tells Amy that she doesn't want any money from the new fragrance line. Next, we cut to Shay being visited by her neighbors, and she tells them she used a love potion on them. That's why they're so in love. But they laugh and tell her there's no such thing, and that life and love are way more complicated than that. Then she opens a letter from Austin, and he tells her that the first time he fell in love with her was when she photobombed his picture at the beginning, not when she spilled perfume on him. Upon realizing this, Shay understands what a horrible mistake she's made by letting Austin go, and she starts crying. She even checks the ingredients of the antidote perfume she made, and there was a lot of jasmine. Dick move, Shay. Then Darian walks in and tells her to come with him, and she does. He takes her to the launch party, and she sees a bunch of photos of herself taken by Austin, and Austin meets up with her, and they finally make up, and it's all good. Then, as they're about to kiss again, they get interrupted by Amy Song, who has lost interest in the new fragrance and is deciding to cancel the launch. But Shay asks for a second chance, and then she and Austin go to her storage space and she makes a new scent for Amy. And when Amy smells it, she becomes a lot softer and happier because it reminds her of her younger days of being in love. So Shay tells her that love means different things to different people. So Austin has a bright idea that they should start a line of custom-made perfume with integrated technology and algorithms. The execs at Amy's company agree, and they decide to have Shay heading this section of the business. Shay suggests that Darian be the face of the product, and everyone agrees. So the team celebrates. Shay and Austin finally kiss. Then Darian hands them drinks, and then they set off partying. And of course, lots of clapping in the dark, right when you close this video. So make sure to subscribe to my channel and come back for more clapping movie recap. See you later.